Hi there. Welcome to the Doucheless Vegan, How to Lead a Delicious Life Without Being a Dick. My name is Carla Collins, and I'm a newbie vegan, a fledgling vegan, and of course your host, our chef, the Uber baller himself, Mr. I just made another big sale before the show.
Yes, I'm the old balls vegan.
The old balls vegan. Michael Stewart Webb, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing?
You're celebrating.
I am, just a little bit. Yes,
I'm barely hanging on, thanks.
Don't be
No,
silly.
I'm fine.
You're thriving, hon.
I sure am. No, but congratulations.
Thanks, darling.
You're having a Ginger Rogers, I hear.
I am. Yes, a little gin and ginger.
I'm having a
Cheers.
White Claw because I'm so young.
Use hip.
I told you these are like to say things like, this show still slaps, and Epstein Island is beautiful this time of year. Pass me a White Claw. There you go. That's how you shave 10 years off your life.
Honest to God, I have no idea what you just said.
Exactly, because I'm speaking young. You need the old balls translator.
I do. Hey, Google, translate.
So, this show basically, whether you're a vegan or not, really doesn't matter. We talk about a few things vegan, some spirituality stuff. We're all very namaste bitches at some point.
Absolutely. We got to get that on a t-shirt.
I know.
That would be great on a t-shirt.
Again, that's something, it already exists. That's something I thought I invented years ago, and then there was a tote bag that said namaste bitches, and I'm like, all right. But you know, I claim to have invented a lot of things.
That's true.
Like radio. No.
Like the light bulb.
Yes, I'm a time traveler, don't you know? So, we just talk about a few things vegan, but mostly we're just gossiping. Michael and I have been sharing living quarters.
We have. It's been amazeballs, too.
It's been fantastic. Just
honestly, best
lottery win for me.
Oh my God, for me too. I mean, and we kind of shared a moment yesterday in which I was telling you how much I adore you and how this is being like I don't want the pandemic to end.
It's like, oh, I'm still here.
I know
We'll have to eventually leave. But
no, you don't.
I believe I was sobbing when you were saying, thanks for bringing so much into my life. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm having an existential crisis again. But we've been. And so we tried to put a smile on your face, of course, during the what is it, the pandemic more, the pandemic Lovato.
Whatever happened to Demi Moore anyway? She kind of disappeared.
She sort of did. She was big during the whole Ashton thing. She and Bruce Willis were initially quarantining together with their kids.
Were?
Yes, even though
really?
I think each of them, I know Bruce is with someone else, but yeah, they're very cool parents.
Oh, no
as
kidding.
they would appear. And at least a year ago, I don't know, because we're in what part? Third wave, part deux. I didn't even know the Oscars were on tonight because we're recording this on a Sunday, and I haven't seen any movies.
Well, we've been kind of glued to Netflix, right? We keep finding these amazing series to watch, and like honest to God, I have no idea what's going. If it were not for you, I would have no idea what was going on in the outside world because I really don't pay attention to any of it. So
whereas I'm a fountain of useless knowledge and pop culture, so I'm here to let them know. I've been in contact with the outside world. You get into our own little bubble here at the farm. But speaking of Netflix, we were talking about this last week. So I want to say Oliver, our dear friend and psychic, jealous, told us to watch Bonding, and it was fantastic.
Oh my God,
we burned through that baby.
I know. It took us no time to burn through it. So we're waiting for that one to come out with their next season.
Yeah, the Netflix subscribership is apparently way down because of a variety of reasons. Things are opening up everywhere but where we are. For a lot of the world, things are opening up, and also because the production of a lot of these shows was halted, stopped, or slowed.
Yeah, of course.
We're all like, because that was the whole point of Netflix. Yeah. You got to binge like 9 seasons.
Exactly.
And so that little bone ass is not available right now.
That's really unfortunate. We're going to have to find something else.
That's why last night we were forced to talk to each other. We have to have deep thoughts.
God.
And might I add, so last night we did some barbecuing. Tis the season.
Oh my God, I had the best time, honestly. And I'm glad we did it last night because it's a little chilly today. And
yeah, once again, it's winter.
I know, it's the most bizarre thing. I was outside this afternoon, as you know, kind of mending a fence that one of my horses had
not metaphorically mending a fence.
No, I don't do that.
Yeah, you're able to blow things up and come out on top and make $1 million deal. I do anything slightly out. I'm basically in the early stages of faking my own death. I get mildly slut shamed, and I think I'll never perform again. So different outcomes. When I come back in my next life, I'm going to be an accountant because it's an exact science. And it's very stable.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the nonsense that you've had to endure in social.
Well, it's not just so. I'm sure there. I don't know if the moon is in Uranus this week.
Nothing is in my anus. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
That's why he's my gay fiance. For those of you, are you engaged? It's a joke. I'm his beard. But it apparently. And I know we're all over the map, but this is just this show. Welcome to it. Get a guide. Get a Sherpa guide. And join the fun. On April 26th, there's apparently a supermoon. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's any bigger, by the way, for us size queens. It's just that the moon appears closer. And it's a pink moon. Again, that's not necessarily the hue. It's just a spring moon in Taurus. And apparently it's going to be quite a killer one. Like they're like, oh, gird your loins. This will have an emotional impact. And I'm like, worse than this week was?
Wow.
I don't know if I can handle it. Is there enough Xanax and Pinot Grigio? I don't know. Tune in next week and find out.
So people are going to be more crazy than normal.
Yes, apparently.
Okay, that's spectacular.
Huge impact and emotion. And I thought that people were a lot this week, personally.
Well, they were a little bit. I mean, both of us had to deal with a little bit of cuckoo this week. And
we did. And again, but in the difference of our métiers, his cuckoo is, I had to deal with an asshole. Let me just bathe in my money, though, for my commissions. And I'm like, I had to deal with cuckoo, and I'm in the fetal position, unsure of my self-worth. Like, it's just the performance compared to a businessman.
I know, and that's tough. I mean, I really don't think that the consuming public realizes how very difficult the entertainment industry is, and
currently, and also I'm doing it all for free, so it's not like, oh, please abuse me. I'm just putting out content, trying to make you laugh.
But, who actually? Someone posted something. It was one of our friends, actually, Kat Russell, who works at the Creemore Vet Clinic.
Yes, I love Kat.
Oh my God, we had such a great visit with them. I had to stop by and visit with the vet to take care of some business.
Yes,
with the animals, and you know how much I love Jason and I adore Kat. And
yeah, I loved both of them. It was great to just even see other humans.
Oh my God,
they were super wonderful.
They're super wonderful people, honestly. Like Jason's not only a phenomenal vet, but he's a phenomenal human being. Mm-hmm. And Kat is just like she's the funniest, right? And she's
a character, right?
She really is a character. But they had never met you before. They knew that you were staying with me, but so I brought you into the clinic to meet these guys and just kind of hang out while we were taking care of some animal business. And so subsequent to that visit, Kat had been messaging me the balance of the day and following into the next day, and she said that she was binge watching some of your stuff on YouTube. And her comment to me was I'm getting to the point, my point, that she didn't realize how difficult it was to be an entertainer after watching your programs.
Oh dear, it seemed like it was difficult.
No, I think she just had a greater appreciation for how challenging it is to entertain people.
It's a current hashtag mood, obviously, but I'll tell you, comedy is of all the things, and we were talking with someone a couple weeks ago who was asking about it. It's by far the most challenging or difficult, and obviously subjective, because I've done everything from literally professional dancer, not stripper, yo. I wish. Be more fiscally sound. But
Cardi B was a stripper.
What's that?
Cardi B was a stripper.
She's absolutely, Empire City now, billionaire. But yeah, from everything from dancing to hosting an entertainment Tonight show to acting and TV and voice work. And of course, comedy is, for some reason, my love. And the other paths were so smooth for me, but there really does seem to be a bit more of a challenge in me being a comedian for whatever reason, and it's what I love the most.
Well, do you know what? I think that's because it means the most to you. I mean, everything else came so naturally to you, and this is your passion.
Well, I thought this came naturally to me too, but it's always people's reactions at various times that, you don't want to worry about what other people think. And you and I talked about that, something that, certainly on the spiritual trail, we're always trying to rise above. But my industry kind of is dependent on that. Again, more on that later. But I don't even know where we were at. We were talking about the moon and then our industries, but we were outside barbecuing and having just a phenomenal time.
Oh, it was so much fun,
still
honestly.
night in nature.
It was spectacular. It was warm, and we had the little fire pit going in the middle of the table, and we were chatting, and we had this phenomenal meal that we'll talk about in a minute, and some cocktails and some really wonderful talk, and the chirping crickets and the peepers and the neighing horses, and it was so incredibly still, unlike today. And it's bitter outside. I was out mending some fences, and like by the time I was done, my balls were in my throat. It was just so.
He's quite flexible.
Not in a good way.
Out there doing yoga.
Yeah, no, not in a good way. It's brutal outside. Like, what happened?
And I just hear, is your window open? And I'm like, yes, I know. It feels like Arctic upstairs.
It's a refrigerator in
Hang
here.
on.
My God.
It's crazy. I know, because I had to put the little sweater back on Dr. Zira. And I'm like, I keep packing this away, doll, but we have to keep bringing it back out.
It's up and down like a toilet seat.
It's cuckoo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess this time of year, but it seems a little late because I'm like, isn't it April 25th? Why is it snowing? It happens.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, they tell us not to plant until the May long weekend because there's always a danger of frost prior to that. I mean, I in the grand scheme of things, if we were to sort of cast our mind back to bygone years, we're really kind of getting off fairly easy. And we were talking about this last night too. I mean, this past winter was a cakewalk in comparison to some of the other.
It was pretty mild because I was really bracing, and when I realized I'd be here through the winter, I thought, oh yikes, I haven't done a Canadian winter and I can't remember. And honestly, I mean, certainly being here at the farm and with you, and it was mostly lockdown, so it's not like we were in traffic, but I thought it was really,
it was very mild,
a can of corn, as they say, and out east. I just thought it was pretty easy, and and because I'm a little bit of a baby about it now, I still walked Zira. We just bundled up. Yeah. I didn't think there was horrible blizzards or it didn't last longer than one of my marriages. It was nothing like that. I thought it was. It
was cool. We got up pretty easily, I think. Yeah. So if that's what, don't shoot me. If that's what global warming is about.
Oh dear, I was just gonna say. And the reason we're having to deal with all these extremes is because of global warming. It was just Earth Day, or as I said to my conspiracy theorist friends, happy Flat Earth Day.
There are people out there who still believe the Earth is flat, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, they think that we're in I think there was a Stephen King short-lived series called Dome.
Oh,
so that's what they believe, that we're actually under a dome.
Really?
Yes. So anything that Neil deGrasse Tyson says is BS, and any of those pictures are all faked. Those are the heavy conspiracy. So that, we're just under a dome. And
wow. Like I don't even know what to say to that.
A snow globe of sorts.
Yeah, like that we're in a snow globe.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know I honest to God, I'm dumbfounded, and I really have no idea. What do you say to that?
I don't know, dude. As you know, like
what do you say?
And
to
I
that?
had a couple of the, well, you think it's why do they call one guy? I have a couple on my feed who are big fans, but they're super right-wing conspiracy. Then he's like, why do you think they call it the four? Explain me this. Why do they call it the four corners of the earth? I'm like, I don't want to. Like, it's the wrong week, dude. I really don't want to have some kind of bitch slapping about a joke.
It's just an expression.
There's a lot of expressions.
Right? That aren't oftentimes rooted in any kind of historical fact.
No. So, and I'd love to rattle off a bunch right now. But so we had, and I think I had like what you call I feel like I owe you a lot of money for therapy last night because it was just.
Oh, nonsense.
It was Breakthrough City. It was like Tony Robbins and Oprah had a baby. Who became my gay fiancé.
Let me ponder on that.
That's a power baby, I'll tell you that much. That baby is walking in the womb.
It's
that
true.
Baby
writing deals in the womb.
Cord, exactly. Drives out in a Ferrari. What's up, bitches? Full set of teeth. Like a lot of freaky.
Oh my God.
Babies are freaky. We're like the old cartoon Huey the baby, and he'd be smoking. I
remember that cartoon.
Dave Chappelle has a classic sketch about he's in this like really sketch neighborhood, like just totally janky, and he looks over and there's a baby smoking crack or something. No, it was just a baby smoking. It was scary.
Oh my
It's just
God.
fantastic. So
That's a riot.
babies often very good fodder for comedy. Let's be honest.
They are.
Let's be honest. So, speaking of the farm, I just want to get this in before I forget. And all the horses were out and they were being majestic and galloping and just stuff out of a movie. And I will admittedly, maybe I wouldn't make the world's best detective because I was here for several months before I noticed that Diego, your favorite horse, has a handlebar mustache. And it cracks every time I came back from walk with Zira, and Diego was at the fence, so I went and was talking, and I'm like, look at your mustache, I can't take it. He was eating an apple, it got wet, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And you're like, well, he has a mustache, and you just said it so like, he has a mustache. I'm like, I'm sorry, is that a common thing? You remember, I was a city slicker before now.
And you know, I mean, he's such a character. If he had opposable thumbs, he'd be like twisting.
Oh, I know. He gives kisses. He's a riot. He does have quite a
he's a
personality.
character. He's a character.
And he's a Frisian?
He's a Frisian, yes.
And so he's your favorite. So funny story to tell.
Well, I love them all, but
I know
I've
you
had
do, but
him since he was 4 months old. So I've
special connection.
yeah, I'm bonded with him for sure.
I'm just doing this to set up a bit because I don't know if it's Grindr or Tinder or Match or I don't know you're on. But there's somebody that you exchange messages with.
Oh, Louis. Yeah, he's super cute.
And you're like,
you know,
look at this guy Louis that I've exchanged. And Louis got a
handlebar mustache.
And I almost peed my pants laughing. I'm like, well, I know why you're attracted to him. And he said, you think it's because he reminds me of my horse? And I'm like, yes, I do. Like I should have put Louis' picture and Diego's side by
side. I know. And Louis
awesome.
He's super
cute.
sweet.
I just have to say,
sweet.
I hadn't seen a handlebar mustache ever since cartoons or old timey westerns, and now I saw 2 within a month.
You want to know horse?
Are they back? Are the hipsters like, oh, it's all about the wax, baby?
Oh my God, I honestly, I don't even know. So yeah, Louis and I text fairly regularly, and of course we're not meeting anyone because we're in the middle of a pandemic, but.
Right.
You know, and the interesting thing is, like, Louis is really sweet, and he's one of these like, sugar wouldn't melt kind of things, but he's fairly young, and it's just really interesting to me to see some young man, like he's quite young. He's I don't know. Yeah, and he's with his
handlebar mustache. But the hipsters are the ones bringing all those back because I remember for a while they were trying to make the monocle thing again, like Mr. Peanut.
Oh my God! Really?
So they were like, I've got a monocle on. The hip, like
oh my God.
The man bun is what Victorian. I mean, like a lot of stuff hipsters do, I think, are old school.
I suppose.
Like that handlebar mustache, though, like just wrapped around, like it was like a knitted scarf. I mean, there was.
Well, it's funny you should mention knitting because
he knits.
He's quite good at it too, I have to say.
And you're like, should I find this adorable or weird? And I'm like, oh, it's adorable. I don't know if it's sexual. And I'm like, baby, I'm gonna knit you a condom so hard. Like I don't know how you can get knitting into the sexual realm. Like unless he's knitting like ropes to tie you with or something. But I do think it's absolutely adorable and very meditative.
I guess it would be, right?
Like,
yeah. And it's funny you should mention that because he does say that he knits for therapy. It's
absolutely.
It's mindless and
it's actually it's mindful, but you get out of your own way. It's
absolutely.
The same benefits as meditation. So
it would.
Louis redeemed. Even though he's got a dastardly mustache.
Oh my God.
Because these aren't porno mustaches. These are villain mustaches.
Well, it is villainous.
Them, yes.
Yeah, it is villainous. Which is
just the ones you can see like old times circuses or something, right? Like he's like Candy Stripers or a barbershop quartet.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Like he should be a ringmaster.
I know. So Louis, anyway, you're attracted to him because he reminds you of your horse. Favorite horse is my.
That's your.
I have a different type of therapy. Mine's just very blunt. It's just nothing but money shots. Here's why you have issues with your mom. Yours was gentle last night, and we came to a crescendo, and
it was a good
weeping,
chat.
And I'm like, yes, I must surrender, and I'm like, hey, I think you're attracted to that dude because he looks like your horse. So maybe therapy isn't what I should go in.
Oh my God,
People
you're too funny.
with more issues than this one. By the time they leave me, they have daddy issues.
Oh my God.
It's like a daddy issue contact high. I have so many that they're like, okay, I guess I have them. I thought my father was a wonderful man, but you have me
my
convinced. I'm like,
God.
no, you've got him.
Pick them up through osmosis.
Exactly. No, for sure. You've been here for an hour. You've got daddy issues. I'll see you next week. Nice ass. Just be all kinds of lawsuits.
Oh my God.
But I'm also very spiritual, as you know. Hey,
You are. You're more spiritual than I am, in fact, I think.
not for nothing. Well, the spirituality competition. No, you are. No, you are.
No, I think you are.
A couple of things. So one, to use a Grammarlyism, my very vain may I brag, comedic meditation kind of blowing up.
It is. I'm so proud of you. You've done 2 huge corporate gigs.
With a big one coming up. Yeah, I booked them. And, this was my creation about 1.5 years ago, where I do, just to quickly put it, 30 minutes of stand-up comedy. And then I take everyone through a guided, authentic, original meditation. And people are, what? But it is a great combo because your brain is in the same gamma state, and also because the hardest thing to settle and go within, which we're going to talk about later, because I've got this whole big thing that's happening in a planetary shift, and it's exciting, is like no one wants to sit in their feelings and like that's just a bath I don't want to take, right? Like my joke about wrestling your own demons. I just pretend mine are dressed up like WWE. Like, look at the singlet and the belt and the high boots. But if you get out of your own head, and then you just can relax, right? So if you're laughing, it takes your mind off of it. You exhaust yourself through laughter. So I did Labatt's. Hello. And this week, Microsoft.
I know. I'm so proud of you, honestly.
So that's pretty cool. Like, and I feel like, and people are starting to inquire about it from Washington, D.C. And so if you're on the fence, you should really give it a go, because I know people are like, what's that? I don't understand. What are you doing?
If it's good enough for Microsoft and good enough for Labatt's, the largest Canadian brewery,
I know, so I'm very happy about that.
It's good enough for you, so you better hop on it.
That's right. Get all over that. So that might be a good segue into, it's weird because something you said to me last night has just been a reoccurring theme happening. And I honestly, I didn't know anything about this or much about it, or very peripheral knowledge, if anything. So a lot of this is just YouTube centric. But I came across someone who calls herself the Heart Alchemist. Her name is Christina Lopes. She's got a giant following. She's been around for a long time. She allegedly had a spiritual awakening. My joke is like, I didn't set my alarm. I blew right past my spiritual awakening through Kundalini. But she also is like really down to earth and funny. And so, because I don't like people who speak, and the wind is in the buffalo, and you're,
that's part of your act, actually,
Like,
right? You make fun of it.
You're not helping me because I don't know what you're saying.
No.
Yeah. So she's pretty cool. Like, one side of her head is shaved. Like, I was like, I'm fascinated by this creature. Tell me more, Christina Lopes.
Go on, Christina.
So I found her, and she had this meditation on the feminine energy. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, feminine energy. And I'm like, feminine energy products. Like I was just being my usual jackass at first. That's your energy that can't parallel park. And it's scrapbooking. Being stupid. And then there was another woman who is a lawyer out of Chicago, and now, of course, a life coach. And she offers a whole business series only to women, which I was like, smart marketing.
Absolutely.
Taking you out of the masculine energy and into your feminine energy.
Well, that's really very interesting.
Right, in order to manifest what you want. And so she'll be talking to women, see, you're trying to be controlling, you're a doer, you're overthinking, that's in your masculine. She said, her first video, she's like, I was late and that triggered a bunch of you because you're in your masculine. And I'm like, wow, now I'm hearing about it. And my friend Donna was talking about it, and she's like, what you need to do right now, your messages go into joy and beauty, and that's your feminine. I'm like, okay, so it's basically yin yang.
Yeah. Well,
Right,
I mean,
so-
that makes perfect sense, really.
It's Shakti and Shiva in Hindu, yin yang if you're looking at Taoist. And so the reason I'm bringing all this up is what I think is cool, according to all these pundits, spiritual pundits, is that this pandemic has shifted the earth out of thousands upon thousands of years in a masculine energy, wars, Vikings,
Dominant.
exactly, with thinking with your mind. And now, since the she said it happened for Reset. Everybody went inwards, right? We had to, and we still are having to be at home with ourselves. And so it shifted to a feminine energy. Right now it's 70% feminine, 30 masculine. So that we all have to get on board with our feminine energy in order to manifest and be successful, because she said there's no return to normal. We don't go back out there in the doing masculine energy when this is all said and done, right? Because there's been a shift. And she was saying, I know people say that we manifest our own reality, but she's like, it's not entirely true. You can't change the tides. Like, you have to be in rhythm with whatever the earth is going through. So
for sure. I mean, much like the ebb and flow of the ocean. That's really very interesting.
So isn't it fascinating? So there were some things she was saying. So, because I was like right in there, and it's very much about surrendering. And I know I have a big honkin' yang side.
Honey, child, I totally get it. And we were having this conversation yesterday about surrendering and,
letting it come to you,
absolutely.
going with the flow. These are all feminine. Like,
yes.
So
like there's some things in life we just can't control. And sometimes we just need to kind of give them up to something bigger than us.
Right.
And that's when the universe provides, right? When we just have that faith and we surrender.
Well, you were telling me, and I always first of all, because I respect and admire you, I'm like, okay, I'll listen. And also because you said you had been through something similar where you're like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Because you know that there's a block somewhere, especially if you're trying all your usual, what's in your usual bag of tricks. So this is really, and again, you can look her up, and she has meditations and has all these great things. I was fascinated. You saw me. I went down that rabbit hole for hours today. I thought it was amazing. But so a masculine energy would be, you're in your head, like the upper chakras. It's obviously action oriented, as in she's like, and I'm a rise and grind. You know me, she said, there's no more hustle.
Isn't that interesting?
Forget the hustle, because now you're going against. And she said, she talked about it's like cutting against the grain of wood. You're there all day. It's exhausting. It's a horrible result. If you go with the grain, it's like butter. It's done in seconds. You're in the flow. So with the masculine, which is what we've been in, very patriarchal, very masculine. And by the way, it doesn't mean man and woman. We're all a combo of masculine and feminine, all of us. And so she said the first thing you have to do is heal your masculine side, because it's hard for your feminine side to rise up, because there's a masculine side sitting there like ready, thinking that the feminine side is weak, that he has to defend, that he has to go to war. So she's like, you've got to heal your masculine side, but feminine side resonates with the dark. That's the yin, right? It's the dark, which I didn't know. And so really alive at night. And she said one of her practices is to walk around her house in the dark or just with candles. And if people are afraid of the dark, that means that you're not aligned with your feminine energy.
Oh, is that interesting?
And that people think of feminine energy, of course, as Mother Mary and mothering and nurturing and, of course, creating, because boom, you make babies, but that's creating a new relationship, creating business, creating a new product. Like she said, but there's also Kali, which is, I believe, Indian or Hindu. It's a destroyer. So be prepared for, like, the feminine side will blow up whatever's not working.
Wow, I like that.
You can't create until you get rid of, we always say you got to make more room in the trunk.
Yeah.
So if you're in an abusive relationship or anything like that, when you get in touch with your feminine side, it tends to blow some stuff up.
I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So there's and if you're looking like the Asian Taoists have Wu Wei, and that is going with the flow. There's no particular way to translate. Being in nature apparently is your feminine side. So that was great. And I was like, that was last night. And so the masculine side achieves things by going out there, going to go out and hunt and gather and dominate.
Yeah.
So the feminine, you stay within. That's the more surrendering, and you become a magnet and you bring it to you. So it's really kind of fascinating.
That's really very fascinating.
And when you get all of a sudden something comes to your attention, now you see a million things, and I have to get into my feminine side. And by the way, my masculine side is like, I don't know about this bitch coming anywhere near us. She's like, also that you're in your mind and your masculine side thoughts. She's like, so in your feminine side, you have to sit with your emotions. And that's where I was like,
I know.
Nope.
We don't.
I'm going to go work out again. Although movement and dance is the feminine side. So
Isn't that interesting?
check it out. Like explore it. There's just a whole bunch of stuff out there on it.
Wow.
But I love the whole planetary shift into the feminine.
Well, that kind of explains a lot too, right? Yeah. You know, as much
thoughts.
Well, you know, and we've commented on how you know doolally the general public seems to be. You know, particularly through all this pandemic stuff. I mean, it seems to be bringing out either the best or the worst in people. But we've also commented on how we have kind of noticed a little bit of a shift in people's general demeanors, excluding all the cuckoos, but that people are a little bit more nurturing and a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Soothing, healing.
Yeah, a little bit
that's
more.
All part of the right.
Kinder.
Yeah,
you know.
well, I mean, I wonder
in many ways.
I think every show we're like the wonderful people are getting to be angels and even more wonderful, and the douchebags are intolerable.
Closer to hell.
And I'm wondering if that's that somebody stayed mired in the masculine, and the people who are more in touch with, even if it's like it doesn't have to be a conscious thing, right? Some people just naturally go with the ebb and flow, where they're. And if that's what's winning currently, if that's fine, and imagine like this is going to be a big shakeup if it's going against thousands of years.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I mean, you know, it's like that's after like 2 presidents in a row were, you know, Democrat or something. You know what I mean? Like this is a whole, and so apparently it stays in this feminine energy for the rest of our lifetimes and a few generations to come. So it's like get used to it, sister.
Interesting. So let me ask you this, you know, because I mean, balance is important too, right? I mean, and we have to, and you know, there is yin and yang. There is this.
Oh, it's a eternal tango. Like that's never. They're always working together.
So, is there ever a point where true balance is or could be achieved, where there is need to embrace your masculine, like ball busting side, and then in the next moment, just kind of, you know, embrace, and surrender.
Well,
is that balance ever achievable?
I think that's the ultimate. I think they're always balanced, because she said they're always intertwined. That's why she said the first way to get in touch with your feminine side is you have to heal your masculine first. So I think it's just when you have it all, you know, in flow with each other, so that one's not dominating. I mean, there's a lot of karma, for example, apparently that comes with the masculine energy because hello, war.
True.
Right. And so just like if we had come off of thousands and thousands of feminine energy, we would want to be action oriented because it would have been too much.
Like we ain't got nothing done. Yeah.
You know, there's different things. Right. So apparently they're always intertwined. There's always the two. The yin and yang are always at play. But if the rest of the world is in a feminine energy, you want to go with that flow because that's, if you know, that's just an easier path. You know me, I'm always working the system. What's the easiest path to success and happiness?
Right.
So, and I guess it's always balancing it within ourselves. Like, and just learning. This Christina Lope says she's very masculine dominant, which was interesting. So that's why she gave all these, you know, from drumming to being out in nature, to going with the flow, to sitting with your feelings. She said that this is something she's been practicing so that she can strengthen her feminine side. So it's probably, you know, it's always a process. We're always working, right? We're like Eglinton Avenue. We're always under construction.
Or Maple
Even if
View
it's inconvenient to others, right? Like it's the 401, it's the 405 in LA. We're always under construction.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, but they are always working together.
All right, well, that's really interesting, you know.
But there are different times call for different.
Well, and I guess that's
right?
my point, right? Is there a time where, you know, rather than living solely in this trending feminine energy, if there's ever really a time where they can live harmoniously, and you got to pull out, you know, the ball bust in Carla on occasion, and then put her away, and then bring out. Do you know what I mean? Like situationally.
Yeah, I think I mean, she just said it was 70-30 now, but that they're always intertwined. So I think it's just a matter of them both being balanced.
So then maybe the message is to just become more aware of this changing, you know, flow of energy,
Right.
and to recognize that there is a need to embrace a feminine energy in certain moments, and then a time when one must recognize a need to be a little more in control, or a little more stern, or a little more aggressive in your approach, right? And
Well, I think
like, isn't the key balance?
From what I gleaned, I think most people have an easier time with the masculine side because it's
because we're all we're all on the offensive,
right? So I think
the best
probably
offense
the feminine
is,
side needs a lot more work.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what I'm gathering. I don't because the fight or flight is so instinctual that I think that's all good.
Yeah.
So I think that's why she was saying, like, embrace. And again, her whole thing is like, go with what's going to be happening now. Mm-hmm. And we're probably more male dominated because that's the society we've been living in for centuries.
Millennia.
Yeah, exactly. Millennia, thousands,
Yeah.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
So the fact that this has been a reset, I don't know. I thought maybe if you're
That's really
listening, you might think,
interesting.
hey, there's some upside to this pandemic. And I found it really, because it did force this change, the whole earth. And of course, you want to be in sync with Gaia. You want to be in sync with the earth.
Absolutely.
She's like, we're living on it. So we're going to reflect a bit.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it's pretty, and I think then that misconception of the feminine being less than or weak, when it's really the destroyer, there's a big fiery side.
Yeah.
It creates. I mean, she was all about like create, make a piece of art, start that new business. It sounded very new beginning-y, which we always enjoy. It's like the beginning of a relationship. That's always the best part.
Oh, for sure.
So I just thought it was really fascinating because there certainly has been a shift, and it really spoke to me because I'm like, I'm a total grinder. So that's not, you can't go out there and hustle and try too hard and try and do, and it just sort of spoke to your sage words of advice to me, and I was like, oh, so now I'm not going to surrender. I mean, if Earth's surrendering, I'll surrender. Like if it's trending on Twitter, I will motherfucking surrender.
Because that's what's in right now.
I know, exactly. What's trending? Feminine energy, bitches.
Oh my God.
So, and it's also this whole, we always talk about manifesting. That's so in the vernacular, and you've taught that too. You've got to have that detachment. Let it come to you.
Absolutely.
It's always better when things come to you. You don't want to chase.
No, you don't.
Ew.
No, you don't. Well, no one likes a chaser, right? And I will say too that
Unless it's a drink. Then
that's a completely different
course.
story altogether. But no one really likes to be hunted.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in manifesting, and I think I do a fairly good job of manifesting stuff. And
Killer.
and
Killer manifester. You've
Yeah,
got
and-
big dick energy when it comes to manifesting, I got to say, because it's like, boop. Oh, look what this happened. Carla, I was thinking of this. Oh, here it is. That's why I was like, listen, Obi-Wan, you start spreading that freaking secret around.
oh, we should write a book. Another one.
And we are. We're writing so many
Oh my gosh.
projects on the go.
We do. Well, let's talk about those for a second.
Speaking of manifesting,
yeah.
take the wheel.
Well, everyone knows that we're writing the Doucheless Vegan Cookbook, which is
Yes.
is a ton of fun, and hoping to have that published this year. But you're also working on your book Stairs, how to live
Step-by-step guide.
to living a. I'm sorry, I've got the subtitle all messed up.
'cause
Stairs,
it's
step-by-step guide to
It's a 30-day step-by-step
That's
guide
right.
to being fabulous.
fabulous
as
as
fuck.
fuck. Yes, and everyone must buy it.
Obviously.
It's going to be a phenomenal coffee table book.
Yeah, it's like the first funny self-help coffee table book.
Yeah, I mean, it's filled with gorgeous photos and beautiful creations by Jorge Del Busto, and his photography is in the book, and then
Yes.
your enlightening, spirituality.
Spirituality hacks, really, as you just heard. See,
gonna be phenomenal.
I've been a system worker since Jump Street. I came out of the womb and I'm like, let me work this system. And I did. Up until recently, which is why you said, if this isn't working, let's try another thing.
Well, the first rule when one finds himself in a hole is to stop digging, right? So,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, and if it's not working, direct your energies into something else, and it's okay. you know?
Well, yeah, you want to take your mind off of it. It's like watching the pot boil, right? So that's why. And to that point, you know that we have the first podcast we started.
Yes.
When masks and podcasts became mandatory this year.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're both thrilled to announce that we're working on season 2 of Carla Collins Rocks. And we have a very important meeting next week to start talking about season 2 and
the potential.
Exactly. And where we're taking this show. So stay tuned because it's all extremely exciting. We're not giving up everything now. But you thought last season was the titties and beer. And you thought last season we had some amazing guests. Like you ain't seen nothing yet.
We were just getting started. We're just starting to crawl.
I know this was the amuse bouche. Now
It was.
now we're into the appetizers, right? Yeah, and soon to be followed by the main course, the vegan main course, of course.
Vegan main course or money shot, whatever is the imagery that works for you.
Exactly.
I don't know where you stand politically or metaphorically.
I don't stand anywhere.
So yeah, we have lots of exciting
There's so much
stuff.
exciting stuff
We have our
brewing.
own line of dog food.
That is coming
Miles
up.
Meals,
Yeah.
and, which is a tribute to my beautiful beloved Miles.
Yes.
I showed you about 100 pictures of him last night.
And we haven't really talked too much about that formulation, have we? So may we kind of talk about the
well, it's
the origin
this is your
story?
baby. I'm coming by to
No, darling, this
give it some-
is a joint venture,
Yes.
as is everything we're doing at the moment.
obviously.
So for those of
many
you
babies.
who we do, yes, it's
And more on that in a minute too, because there really are so many babies in this home right now. It's hysterical.
I know it's I have no idea how we got to where we're at.
Some people might say insane. We
We're
think it's
embracing it.
adorable.
We do. We're embracing it. So my darling Cadbury, I guess it's coming up 2 years ago now. My 13-year-old chocolate lab. He would have been 12, 11 and a half then.
Sometimes you hear him panting.
You do.
Or barking at us if we're
Yes.
talking too long because he wants food.
Well, he's what did I call him today? He's like a fishwife.
Very demanding.
He is.
The chocolate monster, we call him.
God, I know he is. He's
And such a love.
Oh my God, I just love him today.
Oh.
He's super smart. He's super affectionate. He's a total kook.
Yep. He works
and
this like crazy.
He does. He does, and you can see it in his eyes. He's like,
yeah.
all right, I got your number, and I'm gonna dial it as many times as I have to until I get what I want. So, but some time ago, and this is where Miles Meals came from.
Yeah, a year before you and I kind of got together.
Yeah. So he was diagnosed with retroperitoneal hemangiosarcoma, and he was given 6 weeks to live. And I
That's
was
cancer, by the way.
devastated. Yes. So cancer of the lining of the blood vessels, and it happened to have been in his retroperitoneal space, so where all of your organs are. And so it had metastasized and was spreading, and he had lesions everywhere, and he was only given 6 weeks. And so we were given some options, and at his age, none of them for me were viable. There was chemotherapy and yada yada yada. So I will fast forward, and I, I don't give up. So particularly where my loved ones are concerned, and I researched the shit out of everything, and I researched the shit out of cancer and its origins and nutrition
Which nutrition, which is another reason we do this show, is
it's so
huge
freaking
part.
important.
Yeah.
And let Cadbury be a testament to the importance of nutrition. So during the course of all of my research, I came to understand that we're through purchasing all of these commercially prepared dog foods, we're actually feeding our animals carcinogenic constituents, because through the process of all of this high heat processing, we're actually changing the molecular structure of these proteins, and they're becoming carcinogenic.
and they're shortening the
Yeah,
life of
so-
dogs, which is already so short.
And the thing is, like, through the course of my research, the average life expectancy for a lab, even just 15 years ago, was 17 years, and now it's 12, 13 years. And so we're shaving years off of the lives of our animals because of the garbage we're feeding them. And to that point, we're shaving shaving years off of our lives because of the garbage that we're feeding ourselves.
Right.
And again, this is part of why we're doing this as well. So long story short, I came up with my own dog food formulation, and I think Cadbury was maybe on this formulation for less than a year, and he's now cancer free.
And by the way,
and he's thriving.
His mobility since
It's
I landed
crazy.
here, he couldn't make it upstairs.
No.
He flies up and down the stairs
He does.
now.
Yeah.
He jumps onto his hind legs for treats.
Oh, it's
We
remarkable.
play London Bridge
Yeah.
for what would seem like hours. That's where he goes in between my legs quite a bit and makes crazy noises. It's fun.
And snaps at your kitty.
Yep. And in no way is it disturbing because I love him so much. But I mean, I've seen, because it's easier for me having come into the picture in September, October and seeing the change. So you posted something on Facebook before I arrived in Canada, and I had lost Miles a year ago to cancer, which, by the way, was within days. He was chasing a ball.
Yeah.
It was, and then
And gone the
doctor
next.
said we're seeing so much of this because of toxins, and I had him on really high-end dog food, but I wasn't making my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you know, Dr. Z was dealing with, who's, by the way, med-free as of today.
Yay!
I know, Dr. Zira.
That's amazing.
Had spent a night in the hospital before I came to Canada, and you said, well, we'll get her on. At the time, you said, this homemade dog food I make. Now, I believe earlier we mentioned something about dualities. So here's a caveat. This is like cocaine for dogs, and your dogs will like it so much they will wake you up every day at 3. I feel like we're going to
like
have
ours.
everybody thrilled that we've given their dogs so many extra years of life when this comes to market, but also ready to strangle us. Because Zira would sleep till noon.
I know. And the thing is, I'm ready to strangle myself, but...
But this is how much, when you
What a difference
when
it's
you
made.
adopted Duke Jr.,
Yeah.
they said, oh, well, this dog grazes. He's not much of an eater. Well, that's changed. And it changed within one day.
I know. It's
He had
true.
Miles meals. He laps it up. He's as much of a food hound now as the other two.
I know. It's crazy, right?
So, and I mean, and I can testify now, after 6-7 months, Dr. Zira she's jumping on.
I know, the progress is crazy.
Like even the vet's like, way to go. Because when they first put her on these meds, they said that she'll be on these meds for the rest of her life.
I know. She's
she's
off them.
She is at least 14, perhaps immortal. We don't know. She could be 37. She's at least over 14 years old. And she also is like the picture of Dorian Gray. She like a Facebook memory comes up of
she
Zira from
hasn't
10 years
aged a
ago. She
bit.
doesn't have any gray hair.
No.
She isn't. So she's doing really well on this. And turkey tail was another thing. Now I've just started it.
Yes. So during the course of all of my research, it came to light that turkey tail, which is a fungus. It's a type of fungus that grows on rotting wood.
So do some of my exes. I just have nothing.
Well, some of my exes have rotting wood, but
hello, that's quite a callback. That's a holler back right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, so is it like a mushroom? Because
it is. Yeah, it's a fungus.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those types of mushrooms that you see growing on rotting wood. It's not like a toadstool or anything like that. It's just like what you would imagine a turkey's tail to look like. This kind of fanned. And so
gotcha.
and I guess that's where the name derives from. But it looks like the tail of a turkey, and it's got all kinds of medicinal properties, and one of them is an immune booster. So.
Which I had no idea. I just thought, okay, this is for, if you have cancer. So we'll have 2 formulas.
Yes.
And so one day early on, you were making the dog food and you're like, I'm going to bring this to market. Would you like to go into business with me? I was thinking of Miles meals. I remember thinking, after my Miles?
Yeah.
You're like, well, of course,
darling.
we have the picture. And I mean, again, I don't know if but Miles is like the Jesus Christ of dogs. He was just one of those special,
super
wonderful
special
dogs. And, it's my worst tracker because he was only 10, and usually they live to 13 plus. But so we had this idea because I belong to a couple of organizations. And, one of the reasons I'm vegan, I love the animals, is that we want to do what I'm going to call Rover, which will be Tinder for dogs, and we'll write up little profiles for dogs who are in need of homes.
Yeah.
So we will join forces with one or more shelters. And your idea was to have this sold in mason jars, which I so love that idea.
I love that idea.
They'll be entertaining on the back. These are going to be funny profiles that I write. And I just think it'll be all win-win-win. And I mean, again, when you find out a little bit about nutrition, whether it's for yourself or your dog, you'll never go back. And
Absolutely
I will be making
not.
Miles meals when I'm away from you, darling, for Dr. Zero. Well, I don't think she'll go back. She'll just be, what's this bitch? Are you kidding me? And you know Zira, she's got an attitude.
She does.
I love Zira because she's just she's just a little bit of a dick, like just the tip. She's the right amount of dick. I think that's why she's outlived all these big dogs. Like she's just, I can handle my shit.
And she can too. I know she is completely.
She's chasing a duck. Ducks are mean. They are. It's like, Z, what are you doing? She loves the horse. She'll be right there with the horses.
Oh, I know. No, she is.
Nose to nose with giant noble creatures.
I know. I have expect to see her, when I walk in a room, like sitting there reading a magazine, smoking a cigar or something.
She's got that vibe.
She does.
She's a riot. She's got a lot of yang, that one.
She absolutely does.
This is my first female dog, but she's a delight.
She's otherworldly.
So these 3 dogs are thriving on it. I can tell you that.
They
we
are.
have clinical studies. Our first one will be coming in May.
Yes, so we're finishing our first clinical trial in May, and and then we'll start ramping up production, and we're obviously going to have to do some more clinical trials. And but hopefully in the not too distant future we'll be able to to partner with some financiers and expedite bringing this to market. We're
gonna be like the Colonel Sanders of dog food. You can't know our secret ingredients.
No, you cannot.
Unicorn tears, sperm of a centaur, a lot of stuff that's you can only get it at Whole Foods.
Oh my God.
The dark net. Some places. So so that's really exciting too.
Yeah, it's super stoked about that.
That was the first project we were sort of paired together.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean it's a long process because
it's not for the immediate gratification seekers like myself.
It's definitely a long-term kind of project, right? And because we're dealing with foodstuffs, I mean it's important that that we go through all the trials and stuff like that. And so first trial we finished in May. I'm super excited.
Me too. And I know it's going to come back because it's just ridiculous. I'm this close to trying it myself. Because these dogs are just like, come on, let's do this. Zira was offering to do unspeakable things to a German Shepherd. And I'm like, no.
Oh my God. I know.
We can give you some more food. Stop it. But so that's fabulous, and so we have a few businesses now.
We do. Look at us go. I know. We're dominating.
It's been like living in a Napoleon Hill think tank here, because we don't have sex with each other, so all we do is
it's work and create.
Have fun.
Hey, I have an idea. Next thing you know, there's another business.
Or another gin and tonic, and let's do our own chain of the vegan food. We're trying all kinds of things. So we should quickly.
Let's talk about some vegan stuff.
Yeah. Here's the mandatory vegan stuff. Whatever. Yawn. Go get yourself some popcorn or a drink, kids. No.
Well, this show has kind of evolved, right? It's
into just people eavesdropping on any given day of our lives.
We are, you and I, the doucheless vegans. We just kind of we're keeping it real. We talk about life events. We talk about the things we're up to. We spill some tea and we talk about nutrition and healthy living. Like, you and I are kind of the epitomes of what vegans aren't.
Right. We're not. I don't want to recruit you.
No.
You do you.
Exactly.
But again, if you just want to introduce a little bit more plant-based, really, before we even talk about what we're going to eat, for example, and this is funny, because I'm sure Michael Stewart Webb, a year ago, you were thinking, one day I'll be able to do Carla Collins's Roots. Vision board.
Oh my God, I can check that off of my bucket list.
Your roots, because of course, the back of my head, and I'm like, okay, do you mind? Today I had to do my own roots again. That's why I've got my Farrah hair going. Thank you. And I said, look, is it just me, or is my roots are becoming pitch black again?
Yeah, you had made that observation actually the last time we were doing your roots too, and then pre-shutdown, you were at a salon in town, and
Yeah.
and the stylist was like, Carla, what's going on with the roots?
She said, "Oh, you had really dark hair," and I'm like, "Is it still dark?" I just assumed by this point, like my whole family went white. Again,
No.
I don't even know what my original hair color is anymore. I mean, I know I still have the Grandpa Munster where we all have, where
Oh,
it's
sure,
a little gray hair.
little temple thing.
But today I was like, I don't think I'm
That's
imagining this,
Yeah.
and I came down and they're darker. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, reverse aging. I mean, whether you care or not, auntie and uncle aging. I don't know if that matters to anyone, but I know that's always been a sign. Like people who go on human growth hormones, for example, that's allegedly one of the. It doesn't hurt, and I know I'm taking the sulfur, and that's one of the things they say could happen. So I'm doing a lot of different things.
Well, you're doing far more than I am.
Well, I'll also say, because somebody asked me a question, I said, you never, and I will say, because I have so much work to do on not beating the crap out of myself and on bad self-talk, for sure. But I have never once in my life, and it's not just denial, I've never said I'm too old for that or, oh, not anymore. And that's just a basic, I think my mom had the same philosophy. I
Right.
just don't really believe in that.
Right.
Like I don't think there's age limits either way. I've never thought, conversely, I was never too young to try something. I mean, I was, in dance classes at 2.
Right.
So a lot of times I was way younger than everybody. I just don't believe in that whole number with here's what you can or can.
Yeah, don't pigeonhole
There's some
yourself.
styles for women over 40. Shut up. What do you
Yeah.
mean? You know what? Women over 40 can do whatever they want. Like, I just don't really believe in that whole, I think I told you one of my expressions was a friend of mine said, well, I just feel like as a woman over 40, we disappear. And I'm like, and I said, what? And she's like, we become invisible. And I said, the only thing invisible about a woman over 40 is her airplane. See, that's a Wonder Woman reference, kids. So I just, again, I'm not trying to fake it or anything as much as I make the White Claw jokes. I do know that I've never uttered those words. I've never thought, oh no, I can't possibly because I'm. So, and to that end, another thing I do that I want to make sure, I'm going to start doing it again. My birthday's coming up, so I get on these things where I'm like, oh, I forgot, is we have a little trampoline here. And rebounding is what they call it. That's not just you get out of a big relationship and then it's the next dude or chick you do. That too, of course. And I do think you should do that as well. But it's called rebounding or bouncing. And although I do feel like I'm in the first 15 minutes of the Man Show, older reference for the millennials, but and it's just great because everyone can do it. It's really inexpensive. Trampoline's like maybe $50, right?
Yeah, they're
like
dirt cheap.
it's not like getting an elliptical machine that you're in for thousands.
Yep.
And I found that you can get some with a handle, and that your feet don't even have to leave the surface because it's so good for getting rid of toxins, getting rid of cellulite. Apparently, it cleanses your lymph glands, and not a lot of exercises do that. And it's different than aerobic. It'd still be good for your heart because you can really pump it up. But if you just start gently, like doing 1 minute on, 1 minute off for 15, 20 minutes a day. So that's another thing. And you can do it while you're watching the flicks or talking or.
Well, that's that's really interesting. So so our lymphatic system requires movement,
Yes.
right? And so the lymph
Got
nodes
to drain.
Yeah, and the lymph nodes are kind of like the the waste disposal system for our bodies, right?
I'm stuck.
And if you're immobile, which a lot of people during this pandemic are, because what the fuck are you going to do?
By your computer.
Yeah.
Look at. I mean,
everyone's working
pandemic
from
or not.
home.
Right.
Yeah. So that's actually, my wheels are spinning, and how much sense that actually makes, because your lymphatic system, unlike your circulatory system, has no pump moving things along. It requires muscle contraction to pump all of those toxins through and out.
And it's something, I'm big on weights and yoga. It's just something that these things also don't hit.
Right.
Per se. And it's old school, by the way. Like trampolining or rebounding, this isn't like some new, Gen Z is like, hey, this is fun. First of all, there is some joy to it. You're literally bouncing. And something to keep in mind, which a lot of people, because I was looking at videos, you're supposed to wear something that's loose fitting. Now, I know some of us may have a black eye depending on where the boobies are hitting. But I just think it's sexy. Because you're supposed to be jiggling. You don't want to constrict. That's the whole thing. Is you're moving. It's a different type of exercise.
Yeah.
So, and as I said, it's been around forever. And I wanted to mention that on this week's show. And because I mentioned it to myself because the trampoline's been there and I haven't done it for a couple months. And I know how, and it is joyous. I was on there today and I'm like, this is fun. As the dogs watch me like, okay.
Well, I guess it would be. So, I oftentimes have chronic agonizing leg pain, which I put down to, pools of lactic acid that
Yes.
So from the knees down, right, is typically my problem. My calves sometimes are just excruciatingly painful, and it's the accumulation of lactic. And we all know I have ginormous calves. I don't have chicken legs.
Great legs.
I do have good gams, but so I wonder if something like that would help expel the accumulation of lactic acid in the muscle tissues.
Yeah, because you want to, it's always about getting rid of toxins, right? You're getting rid of toxins, all that, and you're trying to always keep it moving, and you're fueling with the right stuff. As we both take a drink of alcohol, it's what you put into your body. Why we're the doucheless vegans? I don't take it that seriously, but So, I think. Listen, there was a list longer than Santa's of all the great things it helps.
Well, that's
so
good
I would
to know.
I mean, you can, again, as we always say, do your own research, but. That one I've known about for a long time, and it's just such an easy one to do right now too, because you don't have to drive to the gym. It's safe.
Yeah.
It's
and you don't need any expensive, crazy equipment for it.
No, and you can go at your own level. If this is something you build up to, you can do some crazy. I was watching some chick. I'm like, this is amazing. You can do jumping jacks on it, and she had it all. Like I've been doing twisting, so it works my waist as well as the whole lymph system. So apparently the pros are great, and I know for weeks I've wanted to mention that. So yeah, rebounding. All right. Just a rebound girl.
I'm taking notes.
I know. And I don't mind. I'll be your rebound girl.
You are, and you're the best. You're the best rebound girl.
I've been a very good rebound girl.
You're the best. The absolute best.
So that's a very cool thing. So we've been barbecuing, and we were very influenced by last week's winner of the crumble off.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to crumble. Being Beyond Meat. And
Beyond
you came
Meat.
home with a whole
I
boatload
know.
of Beyond
So I
Meat.
got some more Beyond Meat stuff.
So
we picked up the spicy Italian sausages and slammed those on the barbecue last night, and holy shit.
It's that we found a sausage.
Yeah. And I did some a little bit of research into Beyond Meat earlier today, and in terms of what the componentry is for their fabulous wares, and the proteins are pea protein or mung bean, and they had mentioned that particularly with regard to these sausages, that the casing is derived from seaweed.
Love that.
And
that's good for you.
their oils are coconut oils, and
there was a canola in there.
There
it's also, and
Expeller Express though,
Yeah.
so it's healthier canola oil than some of the other varieties, but it's all non-GMO product, and beet juice and apple juice, and just filled with good stuff.
Dudes, if you love your hamburgers and your hot dogs,
Yep.
except meatballs, the spicy meatballs, and you're like, I just could never. Even if you just want to substitute it once a week, I'm telling you, it's so good.
So,
you will not miss it. It was amazing on the
So do you know what? Let's put that challenge out there. So so for anyone who is a diehard carnivore, you can, for us, pick up some Beyond Meat burgers, slam them on your Barbie, and I'd love some feedback. I'd love to know what a real hardcore meat lover thinks of this meatless burger.
Yeah, I would love to hear that too, because I've had meat a lot in more recent history than you have, and I'm just like, my tail was wagging.
Yeah, you love
My
this
leg was
stuff.
going like a dog's. I'm nuts for the junk.
I know.
And I'm not, again,
I know
that way. But
I know you were devouring your sausage last night.
Well, not a euphemism. We've been locked down for a long time.
Oh, we're getting
It's
silly.
fantastic, and it was
really good.
It wasn't just like, well, this is good for me. And listen, guys, I'm not a foodie.
Yep.
And I do eat to live.
And you own it.
Right? I own that, so I will have something that's like, meh, because I know it's good for me. But you're just not losing anything. The hamburger, the sausage, The ground beef we had a week ago, phenomenal. We're
Oh,
fighting over
amazing
it.
stuff.
Like, there's still one sausage in the fridge, and I have to tell you, I really wanted just to have it, and I'm like, that's not fair. I should leave it for Michael.
No, have it.
But I'm
I
going
can always
to.
buy more.
It's no longer in the fridge. No, I know, but it is. But,
It's in my tummy,
so
she says.
it's rare that there's something where I...
You just want to go after it.
It's just fantastic.
It was
so
the
you
same...
won't miss meat.
No.
Even if it's just the one night that you're trying something meatless, dudes.
Just give it a whirl. And so I would really... I would like to put that challenge out to a carnivore. I really want to hear what you think of it because,
to a carnivore, it's like the Bloods and the Crips and the Heifers and the McCoys. So vegan to carnivore, okay? Mano a mano. Challenging you.
Exactly. and then so Beyond Meat has got all kinds of other products that I was unaware of. They've got breakfast sausages and like those breakfast rounds that are really popular in the US.
Yeah.
And they have meatballs. Speaking of meatballs, so we're gonna have to get us some of those and put those in a pasta dish or something.
You also found some cream cheese with sriracha that
well,
you put in
let's
jalapeno.
talk about that. Oh, so
we've got our winners. So right now we're all about the Beyond Meat.
Yeah.
If this is, and then we found this VO Life, which is our other favorite.
Yeah, VO Life. Yeah, they're VO Life cream cheese. Straight up, is probably the closest I have ever come to finding, an authentic style cream cheese
on a bagel.
It was honestly, it was good. We were stuffing jalapeno peppers with it, and
amazing.
But then I found this other cream cheese, which is not VO Life, and this is the one you're talking about, the sriracha one. And it's actually made from sunflower seeds.
Oh, so good for you.
Oh my God, it was really good, and I was surprised because I've tried some of these other nut-based cream cheeses, and I'm like, I feel like I should be grouting my backsplash with this stuff.
Yeah, just window caulking.
Not good, but this stuff was was really good. We actually stuffed some jalapenos with this stuff, and
I enjoy that you're pronouncing it jalapenos.
Jalapenos, I know. Well,
a bit of a Diego spin. Still thinking about your horse, aren't you?
Well, I love Latin culture, honestly. I do. I mean, if the men weren't pigs, I would want.
Racist generalization.
Oh my God!
Please email Michael, not me. Love Latin men. I love all the men's.
Well, so do I. But I do love Latin. I love Latin culture. I love Latin food. I love Mexican food. I love Cuban food. Yes. Cuba is one of my favorite places to vacation. I love Cuban people.
I put jalapenos on everything but pancakes. I mean, I really love jalapenos.
I love jalapenos.
I put it in our salad the other day, and you're like, oh, what's that? I'm like, that's a jalapeno. That's what's in the salad.
I saw them. Yep. Yeah, they were delish.
A little boop.
I love it.
Toot, toot.
The winds of Krakatoa.
So those are, again, we just thought, because it's finally nice out-ish now, intermittently.
I know, today's not so good, but we're getting closer, right?
We are.
So praise God.
Because we're getting closer to my birthday.
Yes, which is next week. Well, actually, no, it's this week, because Sunday's the first day of the week. So your birthday is this week.
It's coming up. So we were talking just to get real, that I know that you said, like, sometimes Christmas time is a difficult time.
I have a tough time with Christmas.
Yeah, and I noticed that being housemates, like, it's not you, I just have a really difficult time. Because I was like, Sarah and I'll be leaving in January, and you're like, no, God, no. No, I just don't. And so, and I want people to think it's because, a year older, people like, don't even with my birthday. It's the opposite. It was one of my favorite times. It's spring, it's income tax day, because it is. It's not very sexy, but for me, because it's always so random, and I'm sure people listening can relate, sadly, my mom really made a big deal out of birthdays, and it was odd because I thought Christmas would be difficult or her birthday. No, turns out it's my birthday. That's the trigger.
Yeah.
So this week, it's already pretty emotional, and it is what it is.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing that. I knew that things were a little off, but you shared with me the other day, why, and I, that takes some guts to allow yourself to be that vulnerable. So thank you for sharing that. And now I totally understand, because I can compare that with my own hang-ups around the Christmas holiday and why that's a trigger for me. So thanks, sweetie.
It was my friend Donna saying, maybe you should tell Michael in case, because I'm the big queen of hiding things. Admittedly, I really like it. You know, I will always say things are great. I'm not a big wear it on your sleeve or social media. Here's my skin tag. What? Why are you showing us stuff?
We're both very private
Telling
people.
us your inner sanctimmost secrets. So, but you know, it was so already a little bit emotional. And on Friday, my 3 kittens, by the way, we should say this. So we have a house full. The 3 kittens now get to wander. They're a little bit more grown up. They're fixed. And they have the run of the place now because Duke and the kittens are all happy.
They've come to an understanding.
They have.
Yes.
They've made an agreement. I don't know what money exchanged hands. And they've been really great.
Yeah,
so.
no, they've been good.
Yeah.
And, you know, as you said, they're fixed. So, you know, they're a little...
I was very nervous about because, you know, I'd be growing
I know. It was
ridiculously
so
attached to
interesting to watch.
3 children.
I know. It was so interesting to watch you fretting over the cat's castration.
Oh, I'm insanely overprotective.
Dude, they're going to be all right.
I know. Well, you know, anytime anesthetics involved.
I know. I get it. But
it's like we had to get our cats roofied. So, but to that point, there were barn cats that had kittens. And those kittens are now living in the mudroom because they're going to homes next week.
they are going to homes,
and
yes.
so with their moms. So we have...
Well, I had the fear of God put in me, and so I went out the other day to the barn to sort of take care of everybody and feed everybody, and 2 of the kittens were missing. I was like, shit, something's got them, you know, and it's nature, and
they like went out for the night.
Yeah, but you know they're so small, right?
Oh my God, they're so tiny and adorable.
So I, you know, rationalizing in my own mind, I'm like, there's no way that these kittens have, you know, they're still, you know, being weaned,
Yes,
and
she's
they
still...
wouldn't have gone too far. So I'm preparing myself for the fact that a predator has gotten them, and it wouldn't be the first time. You know, we have hawks, we have eagles around here.
It's rough on the farm. I learned that early on.
I know.
Well, it's nature. Right?
It's nature. Yeah, it's
food
survival
chain at
of the fittest, right? And so I had resigned myself to the fact that these kittens, much to my chagrin, had probably gone to meet their maker. But the following day, there they were. They were like, "Hi, how are you?"
What's up, bitches? And I said, I think we should bring them into the mudroom.
Yes, and so that's what we did because we didn't want to disappoint anyone who had laid claim to any of these delicious little kitties. Hi, I'm sorry, your kitten's dead.
Funny story. Not really. Tragic, in fact. And so we put them all into this little carrying case.
They're the cutest.
And I noticed that the mother got upset.
Yeah,
So it's so funny. And you're like, oh, sadly, Carla. Because you're always by a cat talk. Sadly, Carla, the mother has long forgotten about them. And I said,
gosh.
Yeah, I don't think she has. She's crying. She's frantic. She's looking for them. She was like a Jewish mother. And so again, I got the Michael Stewart Webb look when he's like, he's sort of pissed at me. It's a cocktail. It's a cocktail of so many emotions. Like, I'm pissed at you. I think you might be right. And I hope you're happy, Missy.
God.
And all of a sudden the cage goes up. The mother goes in there. And we're trotting back to the house. And the mom's in there with the babies.
Yeah.
And they're all so happy.
Oh yeah, no, they're very
Like a spa.
They're
in the
very.
mudroom.
I know.
I'd like to
right?
sleep in the mudroom.
I know.
It's
I
all
might.
renovated and beautiful.
I might.
It's nice and warm. So we've got the mudroom filled with kittens and the mom. We've got 8 chicks in the downstairs bathroom.
Yep.
And 7 animals that have the run of the place.
I know. I know. We're the lodgers here.
I know. Of quorum. Like, if there's any voting that comes down,
I know.
we're in trouble.
We are totally
We're like,
voted
we want
out.
Miles meals on the hour. So, which is great. So Friday starts with the cats getting snipped. So I was already a bit nervous. I wasn't feeling well. And to this point, there's a character I do called Souffle. We won't spend too much time on this and I've been saying how I want to bring Souffle back. And especially during difficult times, I said to Michael, it's really great to do a character. I don't have to be vulnerable as myself doing comedy.
Makes perfect sense.
Love to escape into a character. Also, my characters are, well, it's very easy to be cooler than me. So to let you know, Souffle, somebody I've been doing on and off. I hadn't done it for a long time. Brought her back for the pandemic.
One of my favorite characters, I have to say.
Which
I love your
so
Souffle.
thrilled about. But she is a French from France lingerie model.
The backstory is brilliant.
And, you know, I just thought this is a great time to bring Souffle. First of all, she was my mom's favorite. So as I was getting, you know, full into my grief bath, I was thinking, and for the longest time I've had the wig ready and had Craig send lingerie, got some on Amazon, because Souffle has the uniform, yo. And she's confident and sexy and all the things I'm not. So I was like, this will be great. She's tough as nails. And, I got to tell you, she came in hot.
She did. She stirred things up a little bit.
I didn't know that Souffle would be such a trigger for everyone else. And, you live in your own bubble. You throw it out there. So there is this online Airtime's Got Talent. A friend of mine who's a comic is co-hosting. And so I signed up for it.
Oh, my God. That was the funniest.
I know that it's it's not for professionals. So that's the reason I wanted to do Souffle. Thought we'd have a funny story to tell here.
Oh, and it's funny story. Funny.
So,
right. Oh, my God. Get some popcorn. This is a good story.
I got to be careful. But really, it's, you can imagine with freezing and, because it's an app. And I'm just going to cut right to that. So I do my 30 seconds because there are 3 rounds. Which was
hilarious.
And this guy's laughing. So it's all you're laughing so hard you don't even time me.
No, and that's true. You would ask me to time you because there were three slots. One was 30 seconds. One was a minute.
2 minutes. And 30 seconds for jokes, as you can imagine.
Oh my God, it goes by
it's one sentence.
Exactly.
Almost,
it's 2 breaths, right?
So, so my friend who's co-hosting said, I think we have Carla Collins next. And all of a sudden, boom. And he's like, oh my God. I forget that. I guess Souffle is very startling. For example, Duke was barking at me. So I've got a brunette wig on.
Oh my God, that was hilarious too. The dog didn't recognize you.
The dogs don't recognize me. Well, Zira's used to my shenanigans. And I'm in lingerie. And he's like, and I said, no, Carla can't make it. She's not very good. Already howling. So, and Souffle and all my characters are always cutting me down. That's, it's an easy target. So I go ahead and I do my 30 seconds. You're laughing your ass off. They're laughing and going, oh my goodness. And she's like, oh, well, it's really beautiful and funny. And then we sit through, I'm not going to lie, guys.
It was horrible.
There was a guy who did a puppet thing and it was just basically, here's my puppet.
And some dude who went through his entire act and his piano wasn't plugged in.
Yep. His name was Pablo, by the way. He's in a robe. He's in a robe.
A bathrobe.
His piano's not on. Then an older woman comes on and does comedy.
Talking about her hairy knuckles.
And how the cuckoo in her cuckoo clock and hit me up millennials, and I'll try and explain, is wearing Depends. So cut to, they're announcing the 7 people going on. I'm not one of them. So we're fine with that. And I'm thinking, oh my God. What? And, so we're like, I guess it's just for amateurs, or they're just didn't know what to make. And that was the whole point. I wanted to do it in character because I wouldn't go on something like that. Is just me. No. It's not fair, because I do it professionally. But I thought, okay, we'll have a story. I didn't think it was that because we're waiting. That's what happens. We're waiting for my name to be called, and we're like, what's this now? So we laugh, and Michael's like, well, we got to do, because I'm all, listen, it takes a while to get Souffle. I'm in character.
Absolutely.
So we do a Facebook Live, and this guy is peeing in his pants.
Honestly, I love Souffle. Laughing. One of my favorite characters. Her and Bunny.
Bunny McClanahan. We'll have to bring her out, too. Daddy's very rich, but he's gay. See how you manifest? This is how I manifest. I, too, have a rich gay fiance now. Not unlike Bunny McClanahan. So I'm doing this. We do a Facebook Live, and we're giddy. And, we're
having
not
fun.
Giddy often.
No.
There's the freaking plague. Ontario's in horrible shape. We haven't been out in forever. So I don't know how long I did, but I'm doing it all in character. And I thought this would be a challenge. I'm going to do this in character. So I'm ad-libbing an entire character.
And it was amazeballs.
So I'm higher than a kite, and someone very close to me who's typically very supportive. And it's bad when they say this. How did you think that went? And so basically, I'm not kidding. I'm having a colt in lingerie outside your place for the neighbors to talk. And I'm like, woo, this is such a fun night. And I'm feeling better. And the kittens are okay. And I'm just so happy with everything. And that contest just to know what they were talking about. And I get, how'd you think that went? Because no. And I was just like, what? No, and wasn't this and that. And, again, everybody's got their opinion. And then I get mildly slut-shamed on Facebook. I was like, to the point where Michael's like, Carla's in a character, the way that Dr. Evil. And guys, come on, I'm not in my 20s. I thought it would be a feminist move to have someone in lingerie. Right? It's part of the character. She's supposed to be ridiculous. She's in lingerie in winter. That's part of it. She's a lingerie model.
I know.
And she's upset she's not an essential worker. Like, it's supposed to be ridiculous. So I got to tell you, I was just, and I'm like, well, okay. Between all of those things. And the problem with being a comedian is you're up here after a performance.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, we got nowhere to work our craft, as it were. And I never use it, but I don't get to do this, so I took it off Facebook right away, and I was just, you and I handle strife differently. You're like, I'm going to go sell $5 million houses, and they can all lick my dick. And I'm rocking back and forth, giving myself tiny cuts and saying,
God.
Is it too late for me to become a nanny? And I was just like, well, Soufflé was okay, so she's back in quarantine right now. She's back in quarantine.
No, she's coming back out.
It's
Listen,
so
it was
tough, and I get it, and it's subjective. I get it.
Of course
probably
it
not
is,
everybody's bag, baby, but
and you know what? That's okay too, right? I mean, listen, I will tell you straight up. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Well, you're such a tough room. How many of my comedy shows have you had to sit through? How many online shows, dude?
Well, it hasn't been torturous. I enjoy your comedy.
But you're not like, and you and Matt were making jokes. Like, I remember doing the demo type. You're like, take that out. It's not a very strong one. I'm like, hello, I'm still in the room. So sometimes I'd rather be more, I'd like to be Trump Teflon, but other times I'm just like,
well, you're human.
Oh, dear.
You're human.
Oh dear, I have zero talent.
No, that's not true at all. You're very talented, and you're.
No, and I'm exaggerating. I'm making a point though, because it's tough, right?
Of course, it's tough.
Holy crap on a cracker, but.
And to Kat's point earlier, we talked about this earlier. Kat, after watching some of your reels on YouTube, she's like, shit, this is a tough business, right? I mean, it's not easy getting up in front of people. And everyone is different. Everyone has a different sense of humor.
Oh, of course. It's highly subjective. I know myself.
Of course it is.
But,
so it's a tough business.
And you were like, well, I'm having to deal with all kinds of people. I'm like, at the end of the day, though, you walk away. I'm also, remember what time we're living in. I'm just doing this for shits and giggles to make you smile.
Yeah.
So it was
and you're
also
doing
like,
a phenomenal job.
Oh, dear.
No,
So,
listen, your souffle. I was actually kind of disappointed to see that you'd taken it down, and I understand why.
Well, and by the way, I was never going to leave it up for long because we want to do this on TikTok. That was just like a little for
a little
warm-up.
amuse-bouche.
Yeah. Moose my boosh.
Listen, for what it's worth, it was a phenomenal piece, and I was so jazzed to see. And you're right, I haven't laughed that hard in a very long time, so thank you for that.
It's Michael Stewart Webb's fault. See, I was feeding off my audience, and you were laughing so hard that I was like,
well, because it was amazing.
I'm on a roll.
It was brilliant. It was that's why it was brilliant.
Wow.
And
as I said, I'm subjective, but it is a tough racket, man. And
it is a tough racket.
Normally, and again, that's why I did the whole long preamble for this week, and the fact that I'm sensitive as a nipple, and it was just so fun to have a little bit of fun, right? Like we were just, I was forgetting about everything.
Yeah.
I was really, and you, and of course, Michael, because, and I love this about you. Nothing is small. Michael's like, you're going to do this on America's Got Talent, and you'll come out, and this will be game changing. And I'm like, that's right. She's actually a real feminist character, and like, she's a bitch, and she's tough, and she's all like, don't hate me because I'm beautiful, hate me because I'm banging your boyfriend. So I get to, she's not warm and cozy, right? So,
but there is something also endearing about the souffle character, because she's
sad.
Well, exactly. There's a vulnerability there, right? I mean, a lot of it is bravado, and
like anybody who's
absolutely. So
see, it's so deep. Anyway, so then I had an existentialist breakdown, and here we are today. And I'll be fine. I mean, thank God for my ADD. I forget about this in 24 hours. But
you're better than fine.
So it was just because, I don't often share very personal stuff. It's like shtick. I mean, last week's show was like rapid fire, laugh. And that's why I like to live. But just to circle jerk back to our thesis this week, my friend Donna was very, because, her husband, her husband had seen it. She hadn't. She was like, well, no, where's souffle? I heard it was some Robin Williams shit. And I'm like, well, no, apparently it sucked and it's gone. And she said, with feminine energy, it's about joy and beauty. Therefore, souffle. So it was. So
She's
maybe
so
it was
right.
the feminine energy, and you're all just. You're
She's
all
so
just
right.
stuck in your masculine energy, and you weren't ready for souffle. But obviously, the talent show didn't like it. The woman online was like, "Well, that's quite a risque outfit." I'm like, "It's his character."
It is, and I mean, I was reading that comment, really quite surprised. Like, this is a representation of a character. It's not a real human being, nor. Just as Dr. Evil is really not indicative of who Mike Myers really is, or Ace Ventura is not really Jim Carrey. Like, it's a character you're playing, right? So,
well, interestingly, when I first went to LA, and he's no longer a manager, but my manager, Mark, was telling me a bunch of stories.
mm-hmm.
And one of them is he was at, so we're going back to the, I don't know, earlier mid-90s, I guess mid-90s. He was at a corporate event,
Right.
and Mike Myers was the, probably making $100,000 for the night or whatever, debuted his Austin Powers character there to workshop it.
Really?
And it was an abject failure, he said.
Isn't that interesting?
Just booed, and it went on to, of course. And, it wasn't killer in the theaters. Austin Powers became a cult favorite back in the day, kids. It was on VHS, I believe. It was video, right?
Wow.
Or DVDs. And then, of course, became the huge empire. But so, sometimes we got to find our pace. But it was interesting you said Dr. Evil, because I'm like, well, and always open to refining and open to getting better,
sure. I mean, and that's what we all do, regardless of our vocation, right? I mean, we need an opportunity to hone our skills. And Souffle is a brilliant character. And it's interesting that Chip had, kind of made that Robin Williams reference, because out of the gate, Robin Williams, was not well received. Some of his characters were not well received, right? And then, and look at who he became. I mean, he's
something new.
He's an
icon. Comes in hot. It comes
Absolutely.
in hot. And she's not for everyone, because she's not adorable.
No, but you know what? Sometimes some of Robin Williams' characters weren't for everybody, right? I mean, people didn't understand him either, and it was only when more people were exposed to how fucking brilliant this man was, that he became who he was, and he was embraced and he was revered and he was.
Well, sometimes things don't gain steam because people wait to be told what to like, as we've always said. And when we were talking about, and listen, I have it, and I always think that I'm not. I don't care what people think. That's why I went back into comedy. But I do.
Yep.
I think that's the toughest one, because it comes out like, and again, it's like depending on time and sensitivity and whatever. And this week I was like,
Absolutely.
and I was like, I gotta take that down. And sometimes you get, so yeah, I just was just sharing. So she came in hot. I just didn't know it was going to be such a woo.
Well, I think
She was a shocker for a few people, I guess.
Well, I think that people need a little bit more of that in their life. I really do.
Well, we really want to see her on the farm.
Well, she will be making an appearance.
She's hella pissed that she's in shutdown.
I know. I can just imagine what all the neighbors are going to say when.
Because your neighbors are already.
Oh my
What's
God.
going on there?
My neighbors love it, honest to God.
Also, because when I take my walks, I put in my music, and I missed it, so I'm half choreographing and doing like weird, like the Ministry of Silly Walks meets dance meets. Come on, Chihuahua, let's do this. And all of a sudden, I'll notice someone. I'm like, oh dear, hi. Because of course, it's like that scene in the last Avengers movie where they go back and they show the Chris Pratt character dancing, but you don't hear the great soundtrack.
I know, right?
So you look nuts because the music's just with you.
I know,
You see this tall, gangly chit.
Well, you fit right into this neighborhood. Our neighbors adore you.
Yes.
It's a good hood.
It is a great hood.
It's a good hood. Yeah.
You're awesome. So, yeah.
You're
I think
awesome.
that was my mic drop. It wasn't the last for a minute. Just remember, when you're feeling down, I was beaten in a contest by someone called Pablo.
Whose piano was
wasn't
unplugged.
on. And a guy who had a puppet called Low Key.
Were they sock puppets?
I couldn't really tell. It was just like, hi! Like a bad, what are you doing today? The weather's great. That's your 30 seconds. And you're moving on.
His routine was
And a woman well, they weren't being ageist.
No. I mean,
did a whole routine about being in Depends, and they're like, and you move it on.
But there were moments, honestly, I was like, I have no idea what I'm listening to. Like, is this supposed to be a gag? Or is this like a legit contest?
So it's just one of those stories. So remember, kids, and usually I don't. Here's what's different about this one. I would tell this story, but a year later. I'm telling this like the next day where I'm like, ha, I did not move on. So if you just want to feel better about your life, think of that.
Well, that's comedic fodder right there.
It is. And that's the great thing about comedy, right? You usually see it's tragedy plus timing. And this is like the one night stand of tragedy. There's been no timing, so I'm still tragic, but laughing. I'm still like rocking back and forth in a dark room naked with mustard smeared on my face, chanting Zeppelin lyrics and asking Siri if I'm pretty. But I think I'll get over it.
Yes, you will. You rebound quickly.
Back to the trampoline. Oh my God. It's just too many symbols.
I know.
There's been callbacks and circle jerk arounds. And yeah, so.
Universe works in mysterious ways.
It is. So get in touch with your feminine energy.
Yes.
I take that to mean I should masturbate.
Oh my God. What do I do with that?
That's how I close the show. That's why, like, well,
yeah, we're done.
We've been talking for hours, by the way. So
Have we?
Yes.
You're all welcome.
Long extended dance version.
Oh my gosh.
Tantric podcast.
Yeah, right. This is the club mix.
Love you. Thanks for listening.
Oh my God. Thanks everybody. Tune in next week. I'm sure we're going to have some more shenanigans and
shillelaghs.
Shillelaghs and shenanigans.
Other Irish things.
Bodhran. Is that Irish?
What's that?
Bodhran. It's like that drum. It's kind of
Bodhran. No, but you can use drumming to get in touch with your feminine energy.
All right. Well,
it'd drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Walking around with a drum on my trampoline.
I can see it right
in the dark. I'm going to combine all this stuff.
What's that noise I hear? I'm going to have to order a Bodhran off of Amazon.
While masturbating.
I
know he's like, he can't handle anything that has to do with chicks.
I can't.
You're worse than me.
You're definitely a man.
Boobies. Stop it.
Oh my God, I know. Oh geez, you were. Bye.